Trump confirms US will sell F-35 jet fighters to Saudi Arabia. UN Security Council adopts US resolution on Trump's Gaza plan. And Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Daryl Baptist. We begin with local news. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim will make a landmark visit to Ethiopia as Malaysia is set to intensify engagement with the African continent through the headquarters of the African Unions in the country's capital, Addis Ababa. The 55-member African Union, which was set up in July 2002, is the representative voice for Africa on the global stage, and among its functions is to encourage international cooperation. The Premier's three-day visit starting today to the Horn of Africa, the first for a Malaysian Prime Minister, is also to reciprocate Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali's visit to Malaysia in October last year. Embassy of Malaysia in Ethiopia Charge d'Affaires AD Interim Muhammad Afandi Abu Bakar said the visit celebrates the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations established in January 1965 and is expected to open the door for opportunities and collaboration in various sectors between Malaysia and Ethiopia. The Prime Minister is accompanied by Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Federal Territories, Datuk Seri Zaliha Mustafa, other Malaysian government officials, as well as business delegations. The visit also celebrates the reopening of Malaysia's mission in Addis Ababa on the 23rd of September this year, after a lapse of 42 years, reaffirming Malaysia's intention to further strengthen close bilateral relations. Malaysia is looking at avenues for cooperation with India and Iran in the telecommunications sector, particularly involving online safety. Communications Minister Dato' Fahmi Fadil said the matter was discussed during bilateral meetings with his counterparts, namely Dr. Chandra Sekar Pemasani from India and Iran's Sattar Hashemi on the sidelines of the World Telecommunication Development Conference 2025.
Saya lihat rakan-rakan sejawat dengan pengalaman isu-isu telekomunikasi di negara masing-masing, ada beberapa peluang yang saya nampak boleh kita cuba untuk usahakan bagi kedua-dua negara, terutama pengalaman mereka mengatasi masalah scam, masalah keselamatan cyber dan juga beberapa aplikasi telekomunikasi yang dapat membantu rakyat.
He added, Malaysia's good relations with India and Iran will be utilized to develop the telecommunications sector in line with the nation's aspirations to strengthen digital infrastructure and online security. The minister said a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with Iran in the telecommunications field was expected to be finalized soon. US President Donald Trump said he has plans to approve the sale of US-made F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. Speaking a day before he hosts Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a day of diplomacy.
Yeah, no, I am planning on doing that. Yeah. They want to buy. They've been a great ally. They've got to like us very much. Look at the Iran situation, what we did in terms of obliterating, we obliterated their nuclear capability. Yeah, I will say that we will be doing that. We'll be selling F-35s here.
A sale would mark a significant policy shift, potentially altering the military balance in West Asia. Saudi Arabia has requested to buy as many as 48 F-35 fighter jets, a potential multi-billion-dollar deal that has cleared a key Pentagon hurdle ahead of Prince Mohammed bin Salman's visit. The Crown Prince had been expected to arrive with a wish list that includes receiving formal assurances from Trump, defining the scope of the U.S. military protection for the kingdom, and an agreement to buy U.S.-made F-35 fighter jets, one of the world's most advanced aircraft. 76 Palestinian patients have voluntarily returned to Gaza after more than 2 years. All of them had been receiving medical treatment at 2 hospitals in East Jerusalem since October 2023. Palestinian Red Crescent Society stated that the patients arrived at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis after completing treatment at Al-Mutla Hospital and Al-Maqasad Hospital. One of the patients' relatives, Hatem Nassar, said the return of the patients had been eagerly awaited after being separated due to the conflict. Meanwhile, Kifa Hussein, who underwent treatment at Al-Maqasad Hospital, expressed gratitude for the medical care received despite the severe destruction in her homeland, Gaza. At the same time, the Gaza Ministry of Health said the return was carried out with their approval. The UN Security Council on Monday voted to adopt a US-drafted resolution endorsing President Donald Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza and authorizing an international stabilization force for the Palestinian enclave. The resolution passed with 14 votes in favor and 0 against. Israel and Hamas agreed last month to the first phase of Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, a ceasefire in their 2-year war, and a hostage release deal, but the United Nations resolution is seen as vital to legitimizing a transnational governance body and reassuring countries that are considering sending troops to Gaza. The text of the resolution says member states can take part in the Trump-chaired Board of Peace, envisioned as a transnational authority that would oversee reconstruction and economic recovery of Gaza. It also authorizes the International Stabilization Force, which would ensure a process of demilitarizing Gaza, including by decommissioning weapons and destroying military infrastructure. The Palestinian flag was raised outside Toronto's City Hall on Monday, a first for Canada's largest city, after the federal government recognized the state of Palestine in September. Canada joined a group of Western powers that included Britain and France in recognizing a Palestinian state during the United Nations General Assembly, a move that drew fury from both Israel and the United States. After the recognition, a civil society group called the International Center of Justice for Palestinians successfully petitioned for the Toronto flag raising, calling it a symbolic show of solidarity. Toronto's municipal government said it had approved the request, as the flag now qualifies following Ottawa's recognition of the State of Palestine on the 21st of September 2025. Chinese Premier Li Qiang will not be meeting Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi on the sidelines of the upcoming G20 summit in South Africa. This is due to tensions deepening between the two countries over Taiwan. Earlier this month, Takaichi had told Parliament that a Chinese attack on democratically governed Taiwan could trigger a military response from Japan, angering China.
日本首相高市早苗发表错误的涉台言论，严重伤害了中国人民的感情，严重恶化了中日人员交流的氛围。 日方应当恪守中日4个政治文件的精神，立即纠正错误言行，防止中日关系受到进一步损害。
China claims Taiwan to be part of its territory and has not ruled out the use of force to take control of the island. Meanwhile, Taiwan's government rejects China's territorial claims, saying only Taiwanese people can decide their future.
Padamkan komputer untuk lebih penjimatan.
Russian missile strike in Balaklia kills 3 people, with 3 teenagers among the 10 wounded. Stay tuned. But before that news, Bangladesh was thrown into unrest as protests erupted in Dhaka on Monday after its ousted Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, was sentenced to death in her absence at the end of a months-long trial that found her guilty of ordering a deadly crackdown on a student-led uprising last year. Police and paramilitary forces were deployed around government buildings and the tribunal complex, and there was tight security across the capital and other major cities.
ধ্বংসাবশেষ যেটা আছে সেটাকে আমরা রাখবো না, আমরা একদম সমতল ভূমি বানাই দেব, এটা আমাদের উদ্দেশ্য। কেন র্যাব, বিজিবি অথবা পুলিশ, সরকারি যে বাহিনী আছে তাদের সঙ্গে আমাদের কোনো দ্বন্দ্ব নাই। আমরা চাই তারা আমাদেরকে নিরাপত্তার সাথে আমাদেরকে ছেড়ে দিবে, আমরা সেটা যাবো, আমরা আমাদের কাছে যাবো, ঘরে ফিরে যাবো। আওয়ামী লীগ বলেন, ছাত্রলীগ বলেন, আমরা এই ফেসিবাদের দূষরদের কোনো ধরনের অস্তিত্ব এই বাংলায় থাকতে দিব না।
এখন যারা অন্যায় করছে তারা হয় ভালো, শাস্তি হয় ভালো, যারা অন্যায় করছে তার শাস্তি হওয়া ভালো, আমরা সেটাই চাই।
The United Nations report estimated that up to 1,400 people were killed and thousands wounded, most by gunfire from security forces, during the anti-government demonstrations between the 15th of July and the 5th of August last year, the worst political violence in Bangladesh since its 1971 war of independence. And now on to Ukraine. A Russian missile strike on the eastern Ukrainian city of Balaklia killed 3 people, with 3 teenagers among the 10 wounded. The overnight attack damaged multi-story residence blocks and destroyed scores of cars in the city center. The teenagers were among the injured, and 9 of the injured were admitted to hospital. Meanwhile, Moscow made no immediate comment on the attack. Russia has rained down regular missile, drone, and artillery strikes on Ukraine's second-largest city of Kharkiv, smashing homes and infrastructure, severing power links, and subjecting residents to constant air raid alerts. Both sides denying targeting civilians in the war that Russia launched nearly 4 years ago, but thousands have been killed in the conflict, the vast majority of them Ukrainian. Parts of the region had no power supply overnight after Russia's attacks. Heavy rains and river overflows caused severe flooding in Santa Cruz, particularly affecting the communities of Achira and Cuevas on Monday. According to local authorities, at least 6 people are missing and several people have been injured. Homes have been submerged and the historic road connecting Santa Cruz to Cochabamba is blocked by mud and debris. The mayor has called for immediate action from national and regional authorities to assist with rescue and relief efforts. The death toll from the heavy rainfall and strong winds have been affecting most of Bolivia since the beginning of the rainy season in increasing. Rescue operations continued on Monday in Sonbhadra district of Uttar Pradesh after a stone mine collapsed on Saturday, leaving several workers feared trapped under massive debris. Officials confirmed that one body has been recovered so far, while efforts are ongoing to locate the others. At least 5 workers were killed and several others remain trapped. Teams from the National Disaster Response Force, or NDRF, and the State Disaster Response Force, SDRF, have been deployed to carry out rescue efforts. Heavy machinery, along with specialized personnel, are being used to remove the debris and widen access to the collapsed area as quickly as possible. Local media reports said at least 10 workers were at the site when a portion of the rock fell during the drilling work. Though the overall number of accidents have progressively decreased in India, mining, especially coal, remains one of the most dangerous professions in the country. More than 70 schools in Australia were closed on Monday for cleaning after asbestos was discovered in widely used children's play sand products. Recalls have been issued for several colourful play sand products after laboratory testing detected traces of tremolite and chrysotile asbestos. A number of schools and preschools in Australian Capital Territory and one in Brisbane shut on Friday after the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission issued a national recall notice on Wednesday for products supplied by Educational Colours. Further recalls were then issued by Kmart and Target on Saturday for a 14-piece sandcastle building set, as well as blue, green and pink magic sand. There were also school closures in New Zealand due to fears of sand products, with at least 2 other schools set to close for testing on Monday. Asbestos is a prohibited substance in Australia and New Zealand that can cause several types of cancer when its fibers are inhaled or ingested. The death toll from 3 landslides that hit Indonesia's Java island since last week has risen to 18, with more than 30 people missing. Heavy rainfall triggered a landslide that hit several locations in the Cilacap district of central Java. Agency Chief Suharyanto said that the search for the missing victims remained a top priority. Local authorities have designated an area for the construction of temporary housing for the affected residents, and almost 300 families could be relocated there. In Banjarnegara in central Java, 2 people died and 27 were missing after a landslide. The Disaster Mitigation Agency said as many as 30 houses as well as firms were damaged. The Southeast Asian country's wet season started in September and is likely to last until April, bringing a high risk of extreme rainfall and flooding. Climate change has affected storm patterns, including the duration and intensity of the season, resulting in heavier rainfall, flash flooding, and stronger wind gusts.
Peralatan elektrik 5 bintang memberikan penjimatan 5 bintang.
Dari Hanoi ke Kathmandu, Semangat juang Harimau Malaya terus menyala. Kali ini, satu lagi misi menanti. Taring tajam sekali lagi bakal dibenam bagi memburu 3 mata penuh untuk negara. Terus marah ke pentas Asia. Kelayakan Piala Asia AFC 2027. Siaran langsung Nepal bertemu Malaysia. Selasa 18 November 8.30 malam di saluran OK dan Sukan RTM. Juga di RTM Play.
In sports, Norway book World Cup spot and force Italy into playoffs. Stay tuned. We begin the sports segment with some local news. Ahead of the AFC Asian Cup 2027 qualifying match, Malaysia will face Nepal. Australian Peter Czeklamovski is adamant that he won't allow speculation that his days as the national football head coach are numbered due to distracting him from the task at hand. The 47-year-old said he is not the least bothered by the speculation, which has gone viral on social media.
We'll show all the country who we are as a national team. That's our opportunity to represent the country with pride, and we're proud of that, and that's our honour as the national team, and that's the opportunity we have. I know there's a lot of saga and things away from the football field. What we control, what we concentrate on, is what we do in football.
Malaysia will take on Nepal in their 5th Group F match in the 2027 Asian Football Confederation, or AFC, Asian Cup qualifiers at the National Stadium, Bukit Jalil tonight. And Czeklamovski's sights are firmly set on his men trooping out with full points. Nepal, on the other hand, will not underestimate the strength and quality of the Harimau Malaya squad, despite the home team missing 7 of their heritage players for their Group F match in the 2027 Asian Football Confederation, or AFC, Asian Cup qualifiers. In fact, Nepal's skipper, Kiran Kumar Limbu, whose team lost 2-0 to Harimau Malaya in their opening Group F clash in March, is expecting another torrid time when they clash tonight.
Last time, the Malaysian, they have 7 heritage players, and they have more strong, but without them also, I think the local all players also, they have quality, they have strong side, they played good quality league here.
After 4 matches, Malaysia tops Group F with 12 points, followed by Vietnam, 9 points, Laos, 3 points, and Nepal, who have nothing to show for after losing all 4 matches. Still in the world of football, Norway qualified for the 2026 World Cup after a 4-1 win away to Italy in their final qualifying match, condemning the hosts who have missed out on the last 2 editions of the tournament to the playoffs. At the same time, it ended a 27-year drought since their last appearance in 1998. Manchester City striker Erling Haaland emerged as the hero when he scored 2 quick goals in the 78th and 79th minutes to ensure Norway completed their Group I campaign with a perfect record, collecting the full 24 points from 8 matches. In the match at San Siro, the hosts, Italy, opened the scoring early through Francesco Pio Esposito in the 11th minute. However, they lost their rhythm after Antonio Nusa struck the equalizer in the 63rd minute. Jorgen Strand Larsen's goal in stoppage time sealed a stylish victory for Norway. The defeat forced Italy, who finished the campaign 6 points behind Norway, to go through the playoffs next March. President Donald Trump said the United States is setting up a prioritized appointment scheduling system for foreign travelers with tickets to the 104 FIFA World Cup matches that will take place in the United States next year.
Before I took office, it would often take a year to get a travel visa, but because of the administration's hard work, now in more than 80% of the world, think of that, the wait time for a visa is 60 days or less. For those who intend to join us for the World Cup, I strongly encourage you to apply right away.
He said the soccer matches could bring in $30 billion for the United States and generate some 200,000 jobs. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the State Department would still vet all travelers, but had added 400 consular officers to deal with increased demands for visas. The 2026 World Cup will feature 104 matches across 16 host cities in the United States, Mexico, and Canada.
America welcomes the world. America will welcome the world here next year. We will have between 6 and 7 million tickets sold for the matches. We will have between 5 and 10 million people coming to America from all over the world to enjoy the World Cup.
L'Equipe reported on Monday Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain have taken their financial feud to a Paris labor court, with the forward seeking over 260 million euros from his former club, while PSG fired back with a 240 million euro counterclaim. The France captain's hefty demands includes 55 million euros in unpaid wages, which he claims as damages stemming from a contract dispute and alleged ill treatment by the European champions, as well as psychological harassment. PSG's equally eye-watering counter-suit seeks compensation for what they describe as Mbappe's failed 300 million euro transfer to Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal in 2023, a move that sparked the bitter dispute now playing out in court. However, Mbappe's lawyer said the Saudi club's offer was never presented to the player. The 26-year-old's troubles with PSG began in July 2023 when he refused to sign a contract extension. The fallout led to Mbappe being excluded from PSG's pre-season tour of Asia, while he also missed their first match of the season before eventually being reinstated to the squad. PSG claimed this followed the player's agreement to forego some of his end-of-contract payments to protect the club's financial health. Mbappe eventually left PSG to join Real Madrid on a free transfer in June of 2024. And that concludes World Today. In our top story, UN Security Council adopts a US resolution on Trump's Gaza plan. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM. We leave you with visuals of David Hockney's artworks recreated by drones in Bradford, England, United Kingdom. Till then, my name is Gerald Baptist. Salam Malaysia Madani.